Ready when you are.
Okay, it's 3 o'clock, and I will call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Director Sewell.
Here.
Director Martin.
Here.
Director Grasha.
Here.
Vice President Duncan.
Here.
President Wright.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. Now, Pledge of Allegiance. And no belly buttons. Okay, I see it. Okay, let's begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I've had a request to have a moment of silence for Justice Ruth Ginsburg, and I think I'd like to ask John Pinckney, our attorney, if he'd like to say a few words about her.
Yes, I'd be happy to, Madam President. You know, I had the distinct pleasure as a law student to argue a case in front of a panel. It was part of our law school moot court finals program. And we had competed during that year, various teams at the law school to get to the finals, and I was involved in those final arguments. And the panel that was brought in consisted of appellate court judges and a Supreme Court justice. And the Supreme Court justice was Senator Day O'Connor, and one of the appellate court judges was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And so I had the pleasure of arguing a case in front of both of them at the same time. And that evening, after the arguments, I had an opportunity to sit for an entire dinner with Judge Ginsburg. And I knew that she and I were maybe from different parts of the political spectrum, but we sat together and spoke for 2 hours, and I came to the realization that this was a person of great ethics and great conviction, and she was just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I have absolute respect for her, and am so grateful that I had the opportunity to meet her and spend that little time that I did with her. And so I think this is, a loss to us. You know, without getting into the politics, the quality of the human being, she was a great lady and a great justice. And so it's an unfortunate loss for us.
Yeah, I've been reading a little bit about her, about what other people said about her the last couple of days. And I think one of the things that a lot of people mentioned was that she encouraged dialogue with those with whom she disagreed. She was very good at that, and she could talk to people across the aisle and not get angry. So I think that's a good one. So a moment of silence.
She was very close with Justice Scalia, as many of you probably know, and then also when she got onto the Supreme Court, was very close to Senator Day O'Connor as well. And there was a book written about that relationship, that friendship that they formed over the years. So
it was a very, very good example and inspiration there. So, okay, we'll have a moment of silence for the justice. Okay, may her soul rest in peace. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, first I'd like to tell everybody I'm going to be pulling item number 8 from today's agenda, and it'll be put on a future agenda. Staff wants to do a little more work on that. So we'll go into number 4, employee recognition. Back to the 2 pages of employees who are ranging from 13 to 20 years. And I know we have some pins. We have Arden and Lee Boyer. Are we going to do that now, or are we going to do it when we get back into the boardroom? What's the verdict? You guys have anything? prepared or?
No, we don't. I don't have anything prepared.
Okay, well,
We can do that. I mean, we're going to attempt to meet in the boardroom in October, as per our discussions, you know. So we could do it then if you wanted to. Otherwise, I mean, I'm plenty fine. I don't know how Lee feels, but he gets a 20-year pen.
well, I don't think he's on. He's not on the line anyway, is he? No, I don't think so. So, I don't know. I'd like to see. I have a feeling maybe in October we might get to go back into the boardroom. So, maybe we should wait. And if not, maybe think of something to do at that time, if you guys don't mind.
You do have a lot of history here.
Yeah, I read everybody's name Thursday, but the main ones would be Arden Wallem for 15 years and Lee Boyer, the chief plant operator, 20 years. Those are the two that would be getting pins. So anyway, okay, so congratulations. Thank you, Arden, for your 15 years of service, and tell Lee thank you for his 20 years of service, and we'll catch you at the next meeting.
Thank
Nancy,
you.
may I? Nancy,
Yes.
can I add?
Sure.
Yeah, Arden's been here 15 years. That's wonderful. We've got other people. Everybody is equally deserving as recognition. But Lee Boyer, 20 years, our chief plant operator, he is also our representative on Corbs, and he's been doing that for 15 years that I know of. And so he spends a lot of time and effort, certifications above and beyond what we use here, getting that. So congratulations to Lee, and a big thanks for what he contributes.
Yes. Thanks to all of them. Okay. So we'll go on to public input. Tori, you said there was somebody that would like to have say something at public input. Okay.
I did have one person indicate they would like to make public comment. Tony Rios, are you on the line?
Fine.
Hi, Tony. Welcome.
Hi.
You're on.
Thank you.
You're on.
Do my 3 minutes start now, or tell me when?
Yeah, you're on. Go right ahead.
Okay, MSWD sent me a water bill for $870 alleging we consumed 131,000 gallons of water in 1 month. That amount of water would cause significant damage or at least be very noticeable. Additionally, we did nothing except for wait for an explanation from the high bill investigation being conducted. This bill our month has dropped down to 20,000 gallons consumed, which is still more than double our average monthly consumption. It is known that MSWD is in litigation with the manufacturers of the meters for faulty issues with the reporting component of the devices. In 2018, MSWD reported that they started seeing issues with the meters. That's a crisis, especially in those times with the drought and all. Surely they began litigation immediately upon knowledge, considering their purpose is to provide, protect, and preserve water. It'd be grossly negligent to wait until present times, the pandemic no less, to jump into litigation over this imperative matter. Perhaps I have some standing to join this lawsuit. On August 21st, KESQ did a report on residents spiking water bills. Everything that a customer has to do and go through in such an event is what my family has gone through with MSWD. The problem is KESQ news report ends there, but the situation being reported doesn't. Moving on, MSWD let the public know the meters are faulty and decided to exercise their practice of estimation minus 3% in the customer's favor based on historical usage. I've lived in my home for 2 years, but likely that wouldn't be long enough to be considered historical, especially if the devices started proving faulty in 2018. In my favor, the man I purchased my home from custom built it in 1985 and utilized it as a weekend getaway. He resides in Los Angeles. It seems MSWD's practice of estimation proved faulty because unfortunately, I think I'm the one in DHS with the highest water bill, and my home's previous occupant consumed much less than my average of 8,000 gallons a month. An audit into where the mistake occurred when accounting implemented your practice of estimation minus that 3% off of my home's historical usage should be conducted. I can't imagine a legitimate business whose mission statement is to provide, protect, and preserve water running off of estimations for 2 years. In addition to the amount of gross negligence to install and claim new meters are more efficient, yet failing to send someone out to check our meter that was allegedly pumping over 100,000 gallons of water in such a short period of time is incomprehensible. Perhaps the aging, less accurate meters are a better option than MSWD's current practice, or perhaps I'm scratching the surface of a much larger issue within your company. That's all.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. Have you talked to April or anybody about this at the district offices?
Yes, I have.
And you haven't had any satisfaction out of that?
No results.
No results. Okay, Dory, do you have her phone number?
I do, yes, and her
Okay, we
email.
will have-
I will pass her
Okay.
on.
Arden,
Yes.
you have
We
anything to say?
No, what we will.
Well, would you like
we'll-
to have somebody get in touch with her, please?
Sure, exactly. It's exactly what we'll do. I thought that's where you were going.
That's where I was going. I just wanted to see, because it's your employees. I just wanted to.
Yes, no, thank you. Yes, we will call you, Tony, and we will send somebody out like we usually do. We will go above and beyond what the others are doing in order to work with you in this. Meters are something that's our business, and we understand them pretty well. So we did. These are good meters, but we'll take a look at it and see if there's some explanation for this high usage. So we'll be calling you.
I appreciate that. I've had, you guys already sent a technician out, actually, on September 1st. Yeah, we've already spoken to a technician about that, but thank you.
Okay, well, we'll do it one more time and see what we can find out. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, Dory?
I do have other members of the public on the line, but nobody that has indicated they would like to speak. I can unmute them now and give them one last opportunity.
Okay, or does it raise your hand if they can do that?
A lot of them are on the phone line, so they don't have the option
Oh, okay.
to raise hands.
Madam Chair, this is Russell Betts. I think I'm unmuted.
You
Oh,
are,
there we go.
Russell.
Somebody.
I just wanted to let you know that I can hear you. I didn't put in to speak. I didn't know if there was a proper process to put in to speak. I thought maybe it would just be, everybody would know that they can speak. I didn't particularly.
Is that you, Russ?
No,
It's Russ speaking.
No, Russ Betts is talking.
Russell Betts.
Okay, no, go ahead, Russ. That's what we were trying to figure out, if somebody wanted to speak who was on there. So would you like to
so
speak
I'm just
of
going
the
to jump in here. I've actually got into the meeting to listen, and so if you want to put my 3 minutes going now, that's great. All I wanted to say was I think the public will probably have a challenge with trying to figure out when they can and can't talk, and maybe some of them haven't, figured out that they need to tell you that they want to speak in advance. So my suggestion would be just to, like you did here, and just like I jumped in, if anybody wants to comment, to just say, okay, whoever wants to jump in now. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to butt into your business here, but we've had the same issues, with all the different government agencies trying to sort through this difficult situation. So that's it. And I guess if people know to unmute, if they can unmute or mute themselves, if there's an instruction for that. Anyhow, I just jumped in here now because I heard you calling for people. There may be people listening on the line who want to talk and aren't sure exactly when or how to do that. So
Yeah, well,
that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. That's what we're trying to figure out right now. If there's anybody else there with a phone number that would like to speak? Dory, do you want to unmute them, please? Anybody that?
Phone number ending in 8578. Do you wish to make public comment?
Okay, hearing.
No. Guest
Hearing.
number ending in, sorry, there is no phone number. It just says call-in user. Call-in user 1, do you wish to make public comment?
No, okay,
I hear nothing.
okay. Any other phone numbers out there?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll give him a second and go, yes, Russ Martin, Director
Yeah,
Martin.
I just wanted to, you might advise the public, the reason we're not responding to their comments is because we're prohibited from doing so. And I may have some comments towards the end of the meeting about this issue, so they want to
Okay.
stay online.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 6. California Special Districts Association 2021 committee and expert team participation. We didn't have anybody that spoke out, any of the board members that spoke out about wanting to be on any of California Special Districts Association standing committees. Do I hear anybody change their mind over the weekend? Okay, well, hearing none, we will move on to number 7. Resolution 2020-18, Conflict of Interest Code Update. So for people that are here at our meeting online that weren't here on Thursday, can we go over this one more time?
Well, okay, just to repeat what we said, this is something that we do, it's biennial, which is every other year, every 2 years. We go through our conflict of interest laws, and we modify them through resolution. In this case, it would be 2020. This year's modifications basically just add and subtract the listed peoples that will have to basically do the Form 700 or Statement of Economic Interest. And in this case, we're gonna, the Conservation and Public Affairs Officer to the program and Public Affairs Associates is gonna change those to Human Resources Coordinator to Human Resources Specialist. And then the Executive Assistant has been omitted as a designated filer since she really doesn't do any of the, or make any of the decisions. So, and I don't know, John, did you have any?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Appendix A in the packet lists the designated filers, which are Program and Public Affairs Associate. And then on the right-hand side, it lists the disclosure categories. And if you scroll down on the document, you'll see the disclosure categories. Category 1 is interest in real property, and 2 is investments, and then 3 is investment in business positions. And the designated filers are Program and Public Affairs Associate, Director of Engineering and Operations, Assistant General Manager, Field Operations Manager, Associate Engineer, Human Resource Specialist, Legal Counsel, myself, and consultants. And then below that, it lists officials who manage public investments. It has been determined that the positions listed below manage public investments shall file a statement of economic interest pursuant to Government Code Section 87-200. And that's the Board of Directors. As you know, you all file that statement of economic interest every year. And then the General Manager also, and the Director of Administrative Services. And this is something that we update every 2 years, I believe.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Then that's, hey, that's what we always do is the ones that can make decisions and have certain privileges are the ones that need to go on the Form 700 form. As long as we're legal, I will entertain a motion to
I have a question.
Resolution 2020-18.
I have a question, some points to make.
Okay, well, I was going to do it the other way.
I know you want to rush.
Go ahead, do it now. Go ahead, Director Gracia. What's your question?
Thank you. You ready?
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm
good. Thank you.
Ready.
On this item, there seems to be some reclassification of individual employees. I wonder what the purpose of that is. These are people that had to report prior and will have to continue to report. I don't quite understand why we're reclassifying. And why are we being less transparent than we were a month ago? It doesn't make any sense unless you're trying to hide something. I know you're not. I hope you're not. Are you trying to hide anything? Anybody here? Anybody got anything to hide? Because it's the only reason you would remove that requirement for particular people.
Mr. Pinckney, would you tell us the legality?
So are we talking, Mr. Gracia, about the Dory Petit's position?
There's multiple.
We lost you.
Yeah, I think I lost you, Steve.
Director Gracia, we lost you. We can't hear you. Are you
Yeah, the
there?
question is, are we talking, on Thursday, you had raised the question about the administrative assistant's position and why that was being removed. And one of the reasons that you look at these periodically is because the responsibilities of various positions can change. They're subject to change. For example, it's my understanding that that position used to be, at some time in the past, was combined with and handled certain HR functions, and that's no longer the case. I
That's
can't
correct.
speak in detail to all of the changes that have occurred and the responsibilities for that position, but you wouldn't normally. I mean, ultimately it's a policy decision by the board who they want to have be reporters. But normally what we're looking for is we're looking for people that are making decisions influencing purchasing and investment type decisions for the district. So that, for example, if somebody was a department head of a public agency that was making purchasing decisions, we'd want to have them listed so that we know what economic interests they have, which better enables the public and the agency as a whole to evaluate whether any conflicts of interest exist. Does that make sense to the board?
It does to me.
I was bumped off the meeting and just
Yeah, we know.
recovered.
Glad you made it back. We thought you could hear, but we.
Unfortunately, I couldn't hear a single thing that was said. Not surprising, but I think we have our pattern molded.
John, do you want to just tell the part about the reason why people are put on that list?
Yeah, well, I mean, these are subject to review periodically because responsibilities of various positions can change over time. You had raised, Mr. Gracia, on Thursday, the question about the administrative assistant position and why that was removed. And it's my understanding that, the board at one time did have that position listed. It's ultimately the board's policy decision whether to list it. I think some agencies do, some don't. But at one time, that position had certain human resource responsibilities. That's no longer the case. I don't believe that that position makes any purchasing or investment decisions for the district. And normally what you want to do is you want to have employees and officials of the district listed that are making and influencing decisions to purchase goods and services, make investment decisions, and you require them to disclose their economic interests. For example, their interest in real estate, businesses, and that better enables both the district and the public as a whole to evaluate whether they are influencing decisions on issues where they have a financial interest in the outcome and to detect conflicts. But in that case, my understanding is the administrative assistant's role has changed over the years, and the job duties have changed, that position no longer is handling any HR function. That's my understanding. And that that position, I understand, does not make any investment decisions for the district. And that position does not make any purchasing decisions for the district. And so that's the reason that particular position was removed off the list.
You think that you also, to add to what John is saying, is that, this occurs on a biennial basis and the budget occurs annually. The other two positions, come into play. We have now a human resources specialist instead of a coordinator and a public affairs associate rather than a conservation and public affairs officer, which is just a title change. But because we have this human resources specialist, that has taken that duty away from the executive assistant, which we only had there on a temporary basis. But the timing was such that the biennial review for this interest code has occurred a year later than when we made those changes. So that's part of the issue here.
What will happen to the documents that have been filed up until now? Will they be preserved, or will she be able to destroy her own documents as soon as this passes?
I'm not sure.
That's well, I'm sure you're not. The
what
reality is that position at this agency pretty much acts as in every capacity as in most of the time as a more powerful role at the agency than the general manager himself. He's disengaged all too often. And when he does engage, he has to take time to figure out where he's at. So we've got her operating as the shadow general manager. And the idea that we're going to allow her to skip this requirement that at just about every other agency in the state is required to file. And now we're going to see those documents that have been filed up until now just evaporate, along with so many others that we're fearful of being absconded with by this the actions of this group that I'm looking at on the screen.
So which documents, what documents are you asking about that you're concerned will be destroyed?
Up until now, we've had filings going back probably 3 years. What's going to happen to those documents? Maybe
Are you talking about the statements of economic interest?
Yeah, all of those items that are meant to make this agency more transparent, that were filed by these individuals or individual that will no longer have to be filed. What happens to those?
Yeah, so those documents would be retained by the agency. They would not be destroyed. After a certain period of time, the agency, the district has a list. It doesn't keep all documents ad infinitum into the future. For example, receipts for something that was purchased, a set of tools 20 years ago, it probably doesn't keep those and has a schedule for destroying documents. But the fact that you're changing this doesn't mean that tomorrow the statements of economic interest that would have been filed at the beginning of this year would be destroyed. So there's not, the conclusion that this means documents are going to be destroyed is not accurate. This does not call for destruction of any documents. All it is
allow
a recognition. Excuse me. All it is a recognition that with every agency in the state of California, that things are not static and the responsibilities of positions changes over time, and you're required under the law to look at that and see what changes have occurred, what changes have taken place, have job titles changed, have positions been eliminated, and keep your conflict of interest code updated. And that is a required housekeeping measure by the agency, and that's what we're doing here. There is nothing nefarious about it. It's just something we're required to do that the district is complying with.
Yeah. Yes, Director or Vice President Duncan.
All right. I have a concern other than trying to insult every staff member possible. I've got a legitimate concern. Does the executive assistant have a credit card, a district credit card?
Dory, you mean Dory's position? I don't.
Yes. Does she have a credit card?
Yes, I
don't know. She does now. She didn't used to, no. But there is a card that we used to use. Depends on. We've just changed it with. But Matt, you might answer that. We changed that when we switched banks. But I don't think so. Yeah.
That's my only concern. I know that position or Dory in particularly by name doesn't make a decision, not a management, anything like that. It's a pain in the butt, but I can understand in some concern with her thinking she should file just because she has that credit card. Because I know she makes airline reservations and hotel reservations and stuff like that for us. It's a pain in the butt, but it's 5 minutes once a year.
We had a different card for that before. I'm not sure. Matt, you might want to let us know.
Yeah, if it's not in her name, then that's not an issue.
Well, it's ultimately a decision for the board to make, a policy decision. If you'd like that position to be included as a reporting position, you can do that as a board. It's up to you.
Okay.
What did you ask, Matt?
I don't know how the new Wells Fargo cards, we just implemented them like last month, and we used to have a standard card where she would have, the executive assistant would have to go to one of the directors. There were only a few cards, but I'm not sure how that works now. Matt, do you want to tell us how that works now?
Yeah, we recently switched to Wells Fargo for the administration of our credit card purchasing away from CalCard. And there is a credit card that Dory has access to for district purposes.
That's what I thought.
What do you mean access to? Was it in whose name is it in? Districts?
I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know that answer. Dory, do you know? I don't know that answer off the top of my head. I'd have to check.
Yes, I do have a card and it is in my name.
Okay.
Okay, well, okay. If that's a good point, Vice President Duncan and Director Garasha, as far as a credit card for that particular reason, I don't know, it's up to you guys. I'm sure Dory takes 5 minutes to fill it out, you know, it's like, it's not a big deal. To
She
fill those out.
spends,
Don't have,
she spends more time than that every year helping me fill mine out. Like, I got to call her every year to have her do it. So.
it depends on what you own. Yes, Director Martin.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal. There's some concern expressed by Director Grasha and Director Duncan. Let's leave her on the list. And like you said, it only takes 5 minutes to fill it out. So.
Yeah. Hey, if it makes you, it's no big deal, I don't think.
No.
So.
Russ, if that was a motion, I'll second it.
Okay, wait, I got Rand. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Director Sewell.
Oh, I just wanted to add about the destroying of documents. All of those forms are filed with the state, the FPPC, so it's not like we hold the one and only copy. All those copies are held by them as well, so we can't control our own business.
Do the 700s go up north? I thought she was the custodian of records for the district, and
if I may, only the board, the general manager, and the finance director, Matt McHugh, those 700 forms get filed with the FPPC. All of the forms are retained here in the district offices. And according to our current retention schedule, they are retained here for 5 years and then destroyed.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, well,
So,
what was the
so
motion?
you have a motion to approve the resolution with the amendment that was suggested to add the executive assistant to the list of reporting positions.
Yes.
Randy, who made the motion? Vice President Duncan? Okay, do you amend your, are you amending your motion, or did you already say that in your motion?
Well, actually, I asked Russ if that was his motion, and it was simply to leave the executive assistant on the reporting for the 700 form.
Right. Okay.
But yes, that
Director
worded
Martin,
however needs to be done.
motion? Who made the motion, you guys?
I did.
Director Martin made the motion, and Vice President Duncan is the second. Okay.
Right.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Grasha,
Yes.
Vice President Duncan,
Yes.
and President Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes with the position being re-added to the conflict of interest form.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And
Okay,
Dory, if she needs any help filling it out, I'll be glad to come in and help fill out the set.
Thank you so much, Director Martin.
So, for most people, it's a very easy form.
It is.
Okay. Number 8. That's the one I pulled. It will be on a future agenda item. So we'll go now to number 9, professional service contract agreement with Sir Divan Emergency Management Consulting, LLC, General Manager. We should go through this a little bit again because we do have new people.
Okay, well, And I think you all got the bid or the RFQs for that. At least I saw an email that we sent one out to you. That
Yes,
when
yes,
we
they do.
It
competitive.
wasn't the RFQs, it was just a list of consultants who submitted an RFQ.
Yeah, I think Director Grosh asked for that
Those are
Thursday.
the ones that were evaluated. We decided to go with Sturtevant Emergency Management Consulting. He's with us before. And basically, it's going to update our risk and resilience assessment certification, which will be due at the end of next year. And the emergency response certification is due in 6 months from the date of the risk assessment certification. So, and which will be no later than December 31st of 2021. Just a part of the process that we need to go through in order to have our emergency response plan certified. So, Danny, did you want to add anything more to that to add some clarity to it?
I have a question.
He has nothing to add, Mr. Wallem.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, is that you, Steve?
Yeah. On the, I didn't hear it in this report. I think I heard it in another report about an item similar to this probably last year. And this is required of us. Am I right about this, or am I mixing up things? That this is required to
Qualify.
Qualify for emergency funding. Is that right? If a FEMA event happens, is that what this is?
Arden, do you want me to cover that?
Sure. I mean, I'll let you.
Yeah, as I mentioned last Thursday, this is more than just FEMA. There's a number of requirements that require us to update our vulnerability assessment, or VA. As after 9/11/2001, there was a requirement to do VAs, and those VAs were required to be updated. This is the new vulnerability assessment, just as it was before. This is what we'll be doing today, and tying that to looking at natural disasters or malicious type caused disasters. This is what they're going to go and evaluate: risk and the resiliency of our system. So it is a requirement, Director Grasha.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? If not, then I will entertain a motion to approve the professional service contract agreement with Sturtevant Emergency Management Consultant.
So moved.
Second. Oh, go ahead, Randy.
Okay. So I have a motion by Director Sewell and a second by Vice President Duncan. Roll call, please.
Director Sewell?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Grasha?
Yes.
Vice President Duncan?
Yes.
And President Wright?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, item number 10, contract amendment for final design of the West Valley Water Reclamation Facility. I'm going to go through a little bit of that again, please.
All right. We are in the final stages of our design. At that point, we always look back to see what changes were made with what we requested of our consultant. It can be the same thing can be with a contract. In this case, they came into us, like Danny told you last time, with about a little over twice this amount in what they felt were changes in the direction that they got, or the design. We talked them down to this $134,000 change order request. We can give you some specifics that we went to a different kind of treatment process. Danny might be able to provide you with a little more specificity as to what those exact changes were. But we, after meeting with them, we think that this request is reasonable. It is fairly minor. It amounts to, Danny, around 5% or 4% of the total contract price. Do you remember?
He's holding up a 5.
Sorry, guys. I didn't realize I'm controlling my mic, but yes, 5.
Yes. So we're we're in a good range, but this should complete the design. And hopefully we can get moving on the construction here quickly. The next thing is to look at our financing, which is what we're in the process of doing right now. But we need this design completed.
Point of order.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Since we have citizens on the line, is it our board policy to allow citizen participation on each agenda item, or do we just do that at public comments at the beginning of the meeting? Well, I don't know, but yeah, sorry.
They can request that, sure they can, but yeah, if anybody wants to speak on that item, they should tell Dory, because yes, I would not mind putting people's inputs on the certain items, on the items. Does anybody in there want to speak? Does anybody want to speak on this particular item? Maybe Director Grasha knew something that we don't know and somebody wants to. So, do I hear anybody?
There are 3 members of the public still on the line. They've all been unmuted.
Okay, public members, number 10, item number 10, West Valley Water Reclamation Facility. Would any of you guys like to, or gals, I don't know who you are, but would you like to make a comment on number 10?
Madam Chair, this is Russell Betts. How are you?
Hi, fine.
Good. And I don't have a comment, but I sure appreciate asking during the agenda item if I did. So thank you. I'm sitting here listening, was wondering how I would be able to chime in if I did have a comment.
Okay, good.
We don't have a way to contact anybody when we're just listening. So we wouldn't be able to say, hey, we want to speak on an issue. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And hopefully next month we'll be in the boardroom and I'll be able to see you. Anyway, okay. So on item number 10, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract amendment for final design of the West Valley Water Reclamation Facility. Or whatever the name of that thing is.
I move the item number 10, as recommended by staff.
Okay. I have a motion by Director Grasha.
I'll second it.
Second by Vice President Duncan. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sewell?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Grasha?
Yes.
Vice President Duncan?
Yes.
And President Wright?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, item number 11, Mission Springs, whatever it is, water facility. Whatever are we going? Okay, Dan, Arden, we had a report on that. Maybe we should give a report again today. I don't remember.
Danny was the one that's going to go over there are 2 aspects to what we did. One was the regional boards setting the actual standards happened, and then you've got the conveyance line, and he'll give you a status of that. Danny, why don't you go ahead and elaborate on
that? Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, staff, and public. As I said Thursday, we had a workshop last month talking about a lot of the details of this project. So there's not a whole heck of a lot in this. I'll bring more information to the board in October's meeting as what took place with the regional board for the waste discharge requirements permit happened in September. As Arden was saying, we were on the regional board's agenda to receive our waste discharge requirements. It was put on the agenda with conflict as we were contesting the limit that they were applying to the TDS. We wanted 750 milligrams per liter. They were coming in at 630. Although we didn't get exactly what we wanted, we did receive a compromise with the board, an additional 5%. So it's is 660, 662 is basically where we are. And we'll share the actual hard document, the PDF, with the board next month. As also stated last Thursday, this project is fast approaching 100% set of plans. They're due this week. Has been dialogue as of last Thursday, even more as of last Friday, that we will be receiving those this week. So that is all on schedule. Staff looks forward to receiving the 100% plans. There is also additional work happening on the parcel map. That is sending out the non-interference utility letters that will be to all affected companies. That's a pretty standard process in design. And we continue to work on a monitoring wells work plan. That was one of the outcomes that came from the waste discharge requirements, that we have to install a minimum of 2. They would like to see 3 monitoring wells installed downstream and upstream of the new facility. So we're going to be preparing that final document and looking at awarding contract here after a bid process. So that's something we're excited to do. And as far as the West Valley conveyance line, we are still on hold due to utility easements that are being required along Little Morongo. And that was also one of the main reasons what's triggered the last month's workshop. So not to really report on this month as we are, like I said, working towards the 100% plans. The biggest, I would say, opportunity for the district is that we've got our waste discharge requirements and the project moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Do you have any questions from the board?
No, no questions.
No questions. Okay, great. Okay, the other part of that was me throwing out there just for discussion, Mission Springs Regional Water Management Facility, or Mission Springs Water Management Facility, or something like that. Is anybody interested in looking at those names, or just keeping it to the Mission Springs Water District West Valley Water Reclamation Facility? Director Martin, unmute yourself. Or somebody's got you muted. Oh, there we go.
No,
You're
am I
unmuted.
on? Okay. I concur with President Wright's assessment that the previous title was long and awkward. I'm not even sure, people driving by would probably get in an accident trying to read the entire sign. So I think that the suggestions you made are very good. And any one of the 2 or 3 that you mentioned would be better than what we have now. So I agree.
Anybody else have a thought on that? How about you, Vice President Duncan, with the alphabet name? Do you want to keep, I don't mind keeping it the other one. I just threw the management out because when I looked up the word treatment, it really, in the dictionary, it really didn't seem to fit. Management fit a whole lot better than a treatment plan. A management plan did. Anyway, sorry. Randy,
Yeah. No, I'm not a writer or an artist. Names are almost a talent, as simple as it seems. But yeah, I think the name we have for it, I called it the alphabet plant for a couple of years. I think that's way too long. But asked me to come up with a name? No.
Okay, Dr. Sewell, do you have any comments or thoughts on that one?
I like yours. I like including management, but I think the biggest thing is all the ideas that we've liked since the alphabet plant has been dropping West Valley. So even just dropping West Valley and calling it the water reclamation facility wouldn't be too bad either. But I do like including management.
Okay, if we drop off the water district, makes it even shorter, like Mission Springs water management facility, or regional, or
You don't want reclamation in there? Water reclamation?
well, reclamation is management. You're managing your water through reclamation. It just it fits it actually a whole lot better. WMFs are common. Not common, but I've heard them before. They might be common. They're water management facilities, they're called. So sorry to put you guys on the spot, but Arden, do you have any? You're gonna have to talk with.
Well,
You're gonna have to
Okay.
call it that.
Maybe Victoria could post a poll on Nextdoor and the community could pick.
No, I don't want
No,
that.
I don't think you want to do that.
No. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
You know, I do like the idea because one of the issues that we have is that basically Desert Water Agency has stolen our ability to manage our water. And that's something I think we need to keep instilling in this entire process is that, you know, decisions for the last 60, 70 years since we were formed, we've been managing the water. We're the only ones that have really stuck any money in any projects outside of importing water, which we pay for, water. And this is part and parcel to what we think is necessary to manage water. One of the things I was going to add is that for the public, if they want to see a really good, I think, presentation regarding this regional plant and the history that's gone on, they should go back and take a look at the workshop and at the meeting. It's on our website and has been recorded. And the only other thing I'm going to say that's unrelated is that our next process now over the next few months is that we're going to go after 2 $8 million pots of money, and we won't get the whole thing, but we're going to have to get really tenacious out there about getting some grant funding. But boy, if we can put that together, that would be a gold mine for us. So that's all I have to say. I like the word water management.
Okay, so let's just kind of raise hands here. We have Mission Springs Regional Water Management Facility, and we just have Mission Springs Water Management Facility. I mean,
The second one.
The second one?
Second one.
Mission Springs Water Management Facility. It's the shortest one we've ever picked, so that's good. That's what we were trying to get at. How about you, Vice President Duncan?
Not to muddy it, but since it is a septic or a sewer treatment plant, you might want to put wastewater management, not to keep adding back to it again.
Mission
Springs wastewater management. Kind of says what it is.
What
Like
that fit, Arden? What do you think? Wastewater?
My only response to that is that if we reuse the water, which we intend to do,
That's what I was thinking.
it's a water.
Water.
Recharge our.
There you go. All right. See, I told you I don't have that touch.
You're trying to add more words. Okay, so Ivan, you said either one. How about Director Grasha? Do you have a preference?
I think it got too long. Mission Springs Reclamation Facility. You've got to imagine the names you're choosing. Imagine them printed on a front of a book.
Yeah.
I don't have. I just think what's there now. Unless we want to, if you don't want it named after you, maybe we could name it after another former board member that served well. And, Mary Gibson comes to mind. There's others.
What I liked is keeping Mission Springs, as I said before. That's what I wanted to do. That's why I turned down the offer, because Mission Springs should be in the name, not a person. It belongs to the people of Mission Springs. So. That was my thoughts. Anyway, okay. Well, I like Mission Springs Water Management Facility. I'm fine with that one, unless you want to throw the word regional in there, or you guys can still call it the regional plant. Arden disappeared. I don't know. Any of the employees have any thoughts, Matt? Do you care one way or the other?
No, I don't have any comments, Ms. President.
No comment. Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot. Yes, Russ.
Yeah, I think we're spending too much time on this. I think you came up with a good suggestion. We picked, I believe, so far we picked choice 2, and let's do that, pick that one, and move on to the next item of business.
Okay, I'll go for that. Mission Springs Water Management Facility. That's the new name for the moment. Okay. Okay, so we will move on then to the consent agenda. Would anybody?
No, I don't. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
What
Well,
are?
President Wright, can I
I had
just
a
remind
question
you
on
about
that.
the addendum?
Oh, yes, I'm going to do that on 13B. I'm going to call it
Okay.
13B. Okay, thank
Is
you.
that going to come back as a something we'll vote on, or is that just going to happen? The naming going to come back on a future agenda to vote on it and make it official, or?
I don't know if it needs to. Mr. Pinckney, does something like that need to be voted on? Would that make a difference?
John, you're muted.
So let me just look at the description here.
Update and discuss. We aren't going to
Yeah,
vote.
I think you ought to agendize that separately and vote on it as a separate agenda item.
Okay, so for the next board meeting. Okay, well, we'll do that then.
And Director Wright, or President Wright, Danny had a comment, and then I also had a question. I think Danny could handle it. Are we better off changing this at the 99th hour since all the paperwork we have currently in process has the alphabet plant name? Or are we better off changing it as soon as possible so everything can get changed?
I don't know. Dan, what did Danny have to say?
Well, I was going to ask, Director Sewell, I appreciate you bringing light to my comment. I was just going to ask that we memorialize this somehow, and there's been further dialogue on that. So thank you for bringing that up, Director Sewell. Madam President, you said that this will come back to the board. I would just like to ask, whatever we decide, that we stick to it. We learn how to call it by its name. It's actually been decided on, rather than alphabet soup or a bunch of different names that we've called it over the past 2 years. Out of respect to our staff and this organization.
Yes. So you want, okay. So, but you're okay for changing it now, right? I mean, you don't
Yeah,
have
there's
any.
no issues whether we change it. I'm going to still keep my staff report that says regional plant. That's what it is.
That's fine. But we can add that regional back into Mission Springs Regional Water Management Plan.
No.
No, okay. We got to know on
that
that one.
As long as the board settles on the name, I'm comfortable.
Okay, well,
make sure we stick
I think we've all agreed at this point. We all nodded, right? Everybody nodding on Mission Springs Water Management Facility.
Yes.
So until I guess you can really start using that at this point in time, and then we'll make it official at the next meeting or workshop, whichever comes.
Can I ask a question? It sounded like Danny had some interest in a particular going maybe a different direction. You wanted? Did I hear you say you wanted it? The regional part of the name left in, or did I misread?
Well, Director Grasha, what I was saying is it's been known as a regional plant. It's intended, and its long-term use is intended to be a regional plant. Whether it has West Valley, MSWD, we know whose plant it is. We don't call it the MSWD Horton plant, but as long as we have a name and we stick to it, that's what I'd like to make sure.
Understand one thing, that the regional plant was used prior to the change that you are discussing, the West Valley plant, and now we change it again. We can make that work. Don't worry about us. Whatever you decide, but we don't. That's up to you what you want to call it.
It is serving a pretty healthy part of the region, if you will. Palm Springs is not putting a new plant in, down that way, and
okay.
I don't know if it's going to matter 10 years from now, but it sounds like regional might be good for some political purposes going forward that I haven't yet identified. But I think
that's
a
good point. Yeah.
That's a good point to keep the word regional in there. Sorry, Director Martin. I think I like the word regional too, because then we can just shorten it to call it regional plant. And then it can always just be called the regional plant.
That's what it sounds like to me, but that's,
No, I mean, that's what it's always been called, even years ago. Okay, so we're going back to Mission Springs Regional Water Management Facility, and it's going to short regional plant. Okay, that's it. That's what it's going to be. We will use that, and we will ratify it at the next meeting. How about that? Am I seeing, if anybody objects, let me know now. Forever hold your peace. Okay, going on to the consent agenda. Anybody like to pull anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. I have a motion from Vice President Duncan and a second from Director Martin. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sewell?
Yes.
Director Martin?
He
Oops,
said
yes, yes.
Thank you. Director Gracia?
Yes.
Vice President Duncan?
Yes.
President Wright?
aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 13, Public Affairs Report.
I don't have much more, excuse me, Madam President, members of the board. I don't have much more to add, but I can provide a brief synopsis
Sure,
from
thank
last
you.
Thursday. Sure. So we discussed what we were doing in terms of outreach, and we did talk about the anticipated high bills that were sent out last week. And we did talk about some of the proactive measures, Facebook post on Wednesday prior to, as well as the digital ad campaign for the month of September. We also discussed the September newsletter, which talks about the Help to Others billing assistance program, as well as some helpful tips on how to spot leaks, which was also the bill insert for the prior month. And we talked about customer service, field service calls for the month of August. We had 96. As of the 14th of September, I don't have more recent numbers, but as of the 14th, we had 45 service calls, or field service calls. And so we anticipate that to more match August, if not a little bit exceed it. And then part of the report, you have our social media management report for both months, July and August, as well as both of our digital campaigns for those months as well. And since last Thursday, we have seen significant comments on Facebook, but we have been, through the Public Affairs Department as well as Customer Service Department, we've been working together to try to speak with as many customers as possible and encourage people on Facebook and Nextdoor to call in so that we can work with them one-on-one, go through their usage, and try to see and pinpoint what the issue might be and find a resolution. So Matt, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but we've been collaborating fairly well.
Thank you.
Just briefly, thank you, Victoria. The phone traffic has picked up as we expected with the timing of the bills going out. There are still some adjustments being made to expectations and consumption, and there are still issues being uncovered as a result of these new meters being out there. There are adjustments being made. There are leaks being found, and as I mentioned Thursday, the problems behind a lot of these run the gamut, and there's a very wide spectrum. But I'd just like to remind the public, please call us. We do want to hear your concerns. We are willing to work with you. We are working with all customers that we find issues with. So please call us and we will work through your issue. Thank you.
Yes, Director Martin. You're muted. You're muted.
Okay. As long as you brought it up, Matt, I have a question on the estimated bill that many of us have had for the period of a year and a half to 2 years. Which rate was that based on? Would that have been year 3 or 4 of our 5-year rate increase?
That would have depended on when the what bill we were talking about, Director Martin. Did I miss something? Are you referring to a bill that crosses?
No, I'm talking about for a better part of 2 years, we were estimating water bills. And I'm just wondering where we were basing that estimation on a 2-year-old water rate, or was that consistently updated as we changed got to year 4 and then year 5? Did we update that estimation, or did we keep it at the original amount?
Thank you for that clarification. The only thing we were estimating was consumption, and then that consumption would have been applied to the rate in place at that time.
Got it.
For the month being estimated, but estimations were only done on consumption.
Okay, and the second question I have is probably best answered by Arden, and that is, when can I expect a feasibility study by staff on the 2 issues I brought up at the last meeting? Number one, which was a leak detection, contracting with a leak detection service that we would send out to do a forensic analysis of customers' water possible leak. And the second was the feasibility of what would happen for us fiscally as a district if the rates were rolled back to year 4 of our rate increase. And I'd like to get some window of when we might be addressing that, because I think that if all these perfect storm situations hadn't happened, I don't think that the rate increase would have the impact that it has. But you combine that with the economic crisis in this country right now, and the fact that a lot of people had their hours cut and are out of work, I think it's time for us to address that again without doing a rate study, just to get an idea of what would the impact be if we roll back to year 4.
We should add that our rate study that we worked off of in 2015 expires this year, and that it might be appropriate at some point in the very near future to engage in that effort again with the new set of facts that we have. And we should also, as part of this calculation, answer that lingering question: how long really have some of these properties been being estimated? Because my impression is that some of them may have been going back much further than a year or 2, and that has a big impact on this as well. So that's a lot. So, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, the only reason I agree with you, Director Grosh, the only reason why I didn't bring up the rate study is that that's kind of a long, involved process, and what I'm asking for is just an opinion from staff as to what the results would be until we had the rate study completed.
My thought on that is that you need good data on what's happening with our revenue. And so far with the stimulus packages that employees were getting, and the extra $600 on their unemployment per week, Nat said that last time that we haven't had too many people that can't pay their bill. But I think that might raise, I think there's a better chance of that having more people not having the money to pay their bill, since the stimulus packages maybe aren't out there. I'm not sure, but that's what I've been told, that in other districts, they're waiting the next couple of months to get the proper data that they need to see exactly what is going to happen, because I think we haven't got to the point where people in our district possibly won't be able to pay. That might month or
So,
two. Do you have any comments on that?
Madam President, you may want to consider agendizing this item for a future meeting.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. To answer your question, Russ, that I'll have to visit with Nancy about. On the leak detection, we haven't, you know, when we brought it up and we were looking at it, I haven't had a chance to circle back with Matt to see what that would cost and how we would, you know, how we would work that in. On the rate rollback is another issue where we would really, you know, we can get some estimate probably from what we think that is, what combined with the fact that we have these new meters, there's a lot of information there that we would need to look at. But Director Grosh is right. We did budget for a rate study. So, you know, if you're going to do something like that, I mean, one thing we can do is, as we're looking forward, is use that rate study in order to see if we either need to roll back or not do anything at all for a year or two, or whatever we need to do in order to get us through this pandemic. So,
I agree with that concept basically. And again, we're talking about agendizing. My only question was, when could I expect an analysis by staff? And that would get, we're kind of getting in the weeds here about what that would involve. But okay, since you brought up the rate analysis, when realistically could we expect that to be completed? Because my understanding is that takes a long time to do.
So we're really under the public affairs report at this point on the agenda, and we're drifting off the agenda item.
yes.
We probably ought to agendize this as a separate item to discuss.
Okay, well, our next board meeting is in October. I'm assuming that there wouldn't be enough data till maybe December. So I wouldn't mind waiting till the mid-year budget review to come up with that data. And I guess I don't know. The best question would be when, Matt. I guess you could the only one that could answer that. His question of when we could expect something like that for an agenda item.
I have a question that might fall into his report, so it might be allowed.
Okay, well,
it has to do with the income. I heard you say.
But we need to stay. We need to stay.
I know. Well, he was giving his financial report. This is pretty much about his financial report. I heard you give.
No, we're not on financial report.
Oh, I thought we were.
No, that's just the problem. We're on the wrong topic to talk about. Okay. So, we'll just go on, and when we get to our director's comments, I suppose you could ask again, and then maybe we can answer you at that point. Okay, so let's go on to item. I'm going to call it 13B. It's our addendum board member comp report. Dory, do you have a picture of that compensation report? I was just going to go over the process. There's not a policy for this kind of stuff, but there is a process. And this process with this form, like I said before, the district used for many, many years. Nobody had any problems with it. It seemed to work out quite well. So I would like to try to go back to that one. I'm saying we're going to go back to that one. So the procedure would be, okay, starting of the month or whenever it's time, staff will send us that report in an email to fill out. And then at that point in time, we will fill it out, and up at the top, if there's a fax number, you can fax it back to, or an email address that you can email it back to. You sign it and you email it back. And if staff doesn't hear back from either any board member, or maybe just send it out a second time, just as a reminder. And so then by the end of the month, if it has not come back by a director, at that point in time, then that director, the only thing that can be put on that report for that month at that time would be the meetings that were conducted at the district or district events where that particular director was present. That can be put on that report with that. So, okay, so filling out the report is every director's own responsibility to fill out the report, the items, fill out each item, and give it back to the staff. And staff's only other obligation or responsibility for our time cards would be to check them to make sure that each item that is on there qualifies, is on our affiliation listing. Or another way to get compensated for an event is a pre-approval. And so if the item has been pre-approved by the board, in other words, if a director sees something they would like to participate or whatever, and it relates to the district, then you ask for pre-approval, and it goes on the prior board meeting agenda, and then the board will approve or will vote on the approval of that particular item. So that's the only two ways you can get something compensated for, is on the affiliations listing or pre-approval. So, and keeping staff out of it is keeping staff, the liability that staff could incur if they try to fill out somebody else's times card. So, and it's our responsibility to fill out our own time cards and to know what we have done. Also, there's a lot of lines on this time card. There's other events that are going to that we go to that we get paid for, but are not on we don't get paid for. They are that the district pays our lunch or whatever it might be. They pay for that, but we aren't compensated for it because it's not an affiliation listing or we did not get it pre-approved. But you can put it on there anyway, so the public knows that you attended that particular item as part of what you want to do that month for the district. So you can do that. You can also have items on there, I've done this many times, that you are pre-approved or is on the affiliation listing, but for one reason or another, you do not feel like you want to be compensated for that item, that you just put decline where the money should be. There's also this stuff that's like non-applicable and whatnot, but so that you can do various things on there. But you put if you believe that you get it's on the affiliation listing and it qualifies for a stipend, then you put that on there. Let me see make sure I got everything here.
That sounds great, except that some directors are treated differently than others. Some receive absolutely preferential treatment and on this. I asked for public records to be brought to this meeting, and they're not here. I think it's important that the public have an opportunity to see that some directors have these filled out for them by staff. They're not required to sign them or date them, that staff signs them and dates them for them. We just heard one director admit to that on a recent item. And that makes it difficult when one director is put, if you will, a target on their head, and then emails are generated denying payment for certain items, and that now you have a collection of emails that can be requested through the Public Records Act that shows that a director has had on several occasions staff deny compensation in an email that makes it out as if the director's trying to embezzle money or something to that effect. And that is a dangerous slope, and we are on it, and that's why we're having this here today. So we need to establish a policy that works for everybody, and so that nobody's a suspect and nobody has a target on their head. And I don't think that's going to happen with this staff. In fact, one of the individuals on this staff, we have on tape organizing with other directors the desire to take down that director. So to say that staff person should be able to have sway over the records being generated on this, I find to be offensive, and quite frankly has put two directors at risk in the election just because of things like this. So there you have it.
Okay, are you done? That's the purpose.
I'm not done. I'm just getting started.
That's the purpose, Steve. That is the purpose of this form. It's very straightforward.
It's not straightforward.
Excuse me, I'm talking. excuse me, every other job I have ever had in my life, I filled out my own time card. There is staff.
I've seen her filling out the card for you. Her signing your name. So
No,
you're
she
not going to get an
doesn't sign
email
my
saying, I've seen it on the desk.
Okay, it's come from my emails. It was generated by my response to her email asking me what events
I don't get that kind of
participated.
treatment. What I get is an email saying that I tried to defraud the agency.
Well,
And you don't, and that doesn't, those emails aren't stacking up with your name on them. So we have an issue that has put a stress on this agency like you can't believe. It's why
it's your issue. You're the only one having problems with the time card. But I don't know.
Because they're filling your cards out and they're not sending you.
You know what? Nobody's filling my time cards out without me giving them the information to put on it.
Then stop denying that this is a fair process.
I don't give them
It is not fair. It is not appropriate for this agency to be developing a negative public record against one director, but a fluffy record against all others. That, ma'am, puts you in a position you don't want to be.
You know, the reason why this is on there is because of your emails back and forth every month to Carol about your time card. You have not ever written out what they're asking
because I'm not going to ask to be paid for something that's going to be denied. So the idea that I'm supposed to say, well, I want $100 for this and for that, and then I get an email back. You don't get those emails. You don't get what I'm telling you, or you do fully understand what I'm telling you, and you want it to continue. You will be out of office because of this in 2 years. You either become fair in your operations at that district, or you'll be out of office like the two other directors.
All right, you're way out of line, Steve.
I'm not out of line.
You're out of line.
Hey, John Pinkney, Mr. Pinkney, would you like to say anything about this? Where are you? That's what started this.
Yeah, I'm here. So, you know, the form is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, and it's obviously designed to avoid what appears to be some conflict. But, you know, I've gone back and looked at the emails that led up to the need for a form like this. And it started with an August 30. So these are the facts. These are the actual facts. On August 31st, Director Gracia sent a copy of his calendar to a staff member with the following message, quote, "Attached is my calendar for August. Perhaps you can determine what qualifies as reimbursement and what does not," close quote. The problem with that approach was that it put the staff member in a position of trying to guess what events on the director's calendar he was actually seeking to be compensated for and which ones he actually attended, because people may have something on their calendar that they don't actually attend for whatever reason. So the staff member wrote back on the same day, August 31st, the following, quote, "Please indicate which events you wish to be compensated for and list the full name of the event for which entity put on the event. I cannot make this out from the screenshot," close quote. So that was from the staff member. So in an effort to try to resolve what appeared to be, you know, a problem with getting the directors compensated for the events that he attended, I called him on August 31st. I called him again on September 2nd. I left messages, and Director Gracia, I finally contacted when you and I did speak. I just simply explained that the staff member just needed you to confirm which events you attended that you were seeking to be compensated for. It's that simple, and that's all this form will do. And you hung up on me. And so, you know, we're trying to do the business of the district. The form is straightforward. It's not prejudicial nor does it favor anybody. It's just intended to have the board members list the event that they, I'm sorry, I'm speaking. It's just intended to have every board member list the events that they attended and then sign confirming that those are the events that they attended and want to be compensated for. It's impartial and it's straightforward, and it'll avoid what has amounted to a lot of staff time to deal with, you know, a conflict that we're trying to avoid in the future going forward.
And one thing also that I might add to what John is saying is I want to do everything possible to avoid what Director Grosh is saying. I don't want to put the staff people in the middle of this issue. We are not going to determine which ones you get compensated for because we have no idea if you attended it or not. And by filling out this form, you're telling us that you did indeed attend it and you want to be
Show
compensated
me
for that.
the forms. I asked for public record of every form filed by every director going back 10 years or 3 years, I think. And I haven't seen any of them. I asked for credit card statements. Haven't seen one of them. Those are public records. You denying those to the public, to a director at that, is an indication that you're trying to perpetuate this and in an attempt to try to make one director look bad. You're filling out the forms for 4 directors or 3 directors and a president, but for the other guy, you're making him fill out the form himself.
I've got an email chain showing all mine.
There's no form. There was no form.
I have a public
It's in an
records
email.
request, and I haven't seen one of them.
There was no form that was sent to anybody to fill out the last couple of years.
So now you're admitting it.
Excuse
Okay.
me, let me finish. There was an email sent to each one of us for us to list the events that we participated in that month. Just an email, and it shows you the format in that email to do it in. Very simple.
I understand your desire to try
And
to
that's all I
overtalk
did,
me,
and
continually interrupting
excuse me.
Now I have 4 directors and a lawyer telling me that when it's their turn to talk, that I must stop. But when it's my turn to talk, you just roll right over me.
Oh yeah, we just rolled right over. You didn't talk for 5 minutes just now.
Madam President.
Did you? Anyway,
Madam
okay,
President.
So we'll just let
there
the
was
court
no
figure it
form
out.
for
I had to
anybody fill out.
file a
Just
letter.
there was no form.
And we'll just do it
Excuse me.
that way. We'll do it in court every month. Arden can come
Excuse
down
me.
with his little booklet and tell it to the judge. Because you're
Excuse
not going
me,
to put me in a position of having
can
to
we
do
go on
something
with
you're
the
not
meeting?
doing.
Excuse me. There was never any form for any director to fill out in the last couple of years. There was an email. The format was right there, the same as this form that we have that we're going to use now. The format was the same, and what was put onto our forms by whomever at the district was put on from my email saying what I attended, not my calendar. Anyway, okay, so that's what's going to go on. Do I have any? Yes, Director Martin. I'm just going to get.
Just a reminder that the events that we were asking for compensation for have to be on the affiliations list, and not something. So that and it's real easy to check, Steve. Just look at the affiliations list. If you went to that event, tell the administrative assistant that you went there via email, and you get compensated.
I just think if they can do it for you that way, they should be able to do it for me that way.
They should.
That's not how it works, okay?
But that's not how it works.
And Russ gets a calendar printed for him by your executive assistant and provided every month of the events that will provide him with the maximum amount of income. He put in for $100 to go to the story time at the Cabots. What is that?
You know what?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
First of all, let me clarify the record right now, Steve.
Just stop all those payments, all those silly events. You get paid for sitting at the.
Does anybody have a mute?
Pretending like you care what's going on, but then in reality, it's to get the $100.
Steve,
Madam Chair, who has the floor? Madam Chair, who has the floor?
Wait a minute. I'm speaking.
Hey, wait. Okay, right now, Director Martin, I'm sorry, Director Gosha, but I'm going to have to call on you. Okay, Director Martin, your turn.
Yes, I did not submit, nor did I receive compensation for storytelling time at Cabots. That's a complete lie. I never submitted that. What you're confusing it with is that on the calendar, so I've got non-compensated events, which sometimes includes things that we're not charging. And then below that, if you just read the agenda, you would know that, would list. In fact, you can pull up the one right now, and it'll tell you the ones we get compensated for and the ones that we don't. It's real simple, Steve. You can even figure it out.
So I think it's clear to everybody.
I think you've got it.
I think anyone that's listening now will understand that this is not a level playing field, and that in about 40 days, we'll see if the leadership that this district has been under for the last so many years is going to continue. My guess is it won't. People are offended by paying Russ Martin to sit at a city council meeting and pretend it's because he likes the community so much, when in fact he's being paid to sit there, and to go to these Cabot's events and gets paid for that. By water district is to why these people are sweating their to come down and pay their water bill, so he can sit over there in air conditioning with all his friends in Rancho Mirage at the Builders Forum and get paid to be there. It's ridiculous. It's an abuse of authority.
End of subject. All right, end of subject. This particular form will take care of the big issues about filling out time cards. And if they're not filled out, then you only get paid for whatever events we had at the district. And we know that director attended that event. And any other thing. So the only two things that staff is going to do for our reports, comp reports, they're going to email them to us. They're going to, if they don't hear anything back in a week or two, they're going to email it back again one more time. And then when we send them back our filled out report, then they will check them and verify them against the affiliations listing and against any pre-approved meetings. Other than that, staff is out of it.
What about the calendar that the
we're going to
directors
start
have
that
provided?
in October.
What about the calendar
at
that
the beginning
some
of
directors-
October? You will be receiving one of these in your email. Keep a lookout for them. Fill them out. Email them back, and there won't be any problem. Sign it. Don't forget to sign it.
And my public records request to look at these that I've been hearing
It's
have
nothing
been
to
done.
do with this board meeting. This board
It
meeting has
does.
nothing to do
It's
with
about this
record
issue,
request.
and you
It's a
purposefully
separate item and it's not on the
you didn't
agenda.
provide those
So we
records so
will
that I
now
could say, hey,
go
look,
to item
here, Dory filled out every one of these forms,
number.
but I got an email
we told
saying
you what happened, and you keep going back to your conspiracy theory.
trying to
Okay,
deny
we
that
will
you're
go
corrupt.
to item number 14, monthly reports.
I do not have anything to add. As you can see, it was a very hot month and we had 11.3% increase in our production. So that will tell you somewhat, why we have the issues that we have, is that usage is just, skyrocketing. So, and the flow, and I also brought this up last time, the flow at the wastewater plant is pretty strong, especially our peak, which also tells you that we have a lot more people in these homes using water. And then there's nothing else really that I need to comment on, except for our per capita consumption is going up too. So.
Yeah, it was pretty hot. It was pretty hot.
I had a quick question on the water production. That's water that we from the aquifer, and then the per capita usage is what is used through all of our customers' water meters.
Yes, and what it does is it's used in the residential area, because your total production includes some of your commercial establishments. But in order to report, which is what we needed to do during the drought issue or era, we needed to look at what the per capita consumption is, so that we would define what our population is, and then we would determine through our records what flows were sent to the residential versus the commercial customers, basically.
Okay, I was just kind of getting at, are we able to see really what differential there is between what water we pump from the aquifer and water that's used by our end users?
Yes.
Just to kind of confirm that these high usages are actual water being used and not some made up number?
Yes, to a certain extent, we'll know. We do have a loss component. All districts do. It can run 10% up to 20% in some areas, might be for whatever reason lost in the, in the system of some kind, but we can give you some of that information, yes.
Okay, I was just thinking, the end use number has never been higher than our water production number, meaning we're not making up water bills. This is actual usage.
Yeah, they're pretty close. Yes. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. And that's why we're not too uncomfortable with what the numbers are stating. And they've been checked and rechecked by the state. I don't know, Danny, did you want to comment on any of that? To elaborate on it?
I can sure take a stab at it. Director Sewell, I believe what you're asking is there something that we could relate back to what our production reports, which as our do keep very close record of, and what our consumption, or what we have on our revenue meters?
Right.
And we can, but there's a lot of variables. I think that's what Arden was trying to weigh in on. We keep a lot of water loss, so it's not going to be just as simple to point the numbers up, but we'll take a look at them. We do have that information. It may not exactly produce what you're getting at, because depending on what we have for maintenance programs, we have a lot of what they call non-revenue water. It's maintenance water, flushing of fire hydrants when we do.
Well, yeah, even when we turn on a well, we have to flush.
That's not metered. That's unmetered. So yeah.
Okay.
But by the metering, we make some calculations as to what we estimate that loss is.
Okay. Yeah. What I was just getting at is
sure
that we've never had a production that was lower than what our revenue water was.
Oh no, we shouldn't.
See what he's saying? I get what you're saying. Trying to say, Ivan. He said, if I think that's what you're trying to say is if
there's
people's
claims
bills
that some of these water bills are just made up, and we can show that what we're pumping from the ground, we're not charging people for more water than what we've taken from the aquifer.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So
is that possible to do that? I would think it might be.
We can walk in, every one of you, through our water audit. We have a water audit that's required to be completed every year. It's not as simple as it's going to be able to say, oh yeah, here is a direct relation to high water meter bills to what we produce. It'll make sense, and we'll be happy to walk you through that process.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good question. Okay, so anybody else have any comments on the monthly reports? What do I do with my time? Okay, if not, we'll go on to upcoming events and directors' reports. I got a couple to make. Are you raising your hand there, Randy?
No, I was reaching for my computer, but I've got a bunch to do. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and start?
I will.
Okay.
All right, I got a couple of months here. All right, July 7th, DWA meeting. They went over some numbers. I didn't catch them, but they were giving a number on their loss of revenues, fines, late fees, stuff like that related to the coronavirus. Their numbers really doesn't matter whether it's a little bit or a lot, but I'm kind of curious as to whether we have an idea on what we've lost, and then they get into it a little deeper in another meeting, and I'll go over that in a minute. July 14th, CBWD board meeting. Very quick. Their big thing, they had 6 employees that had COVID. 2 of them were out at the time, 4 are back to work, which is good, that they're all good and healthy again. All right, DWA board meeting, July 21st. Again, the amount that they've lost from late fees and whatnot doesn't matter. But what they took into consideration was loss of late fees, a shift from commercial water consumption to residential water consumption, which is at a lesser rate like ours. They added in the cost of upgrades to their phone and computer system. They also had employees working from home. They had to buy laptops, update some phone systems, that kind of good stuff. And then they also added in cleaning supplies, masks, cleaners, gloves, stuff like that for the employees, a cleaning crew for the office, that kind of good stuff. And it's a substantial chunk of money. So I don't want to overwhelm either one of our CPAs, but if Matt or Arturo could look into that someday, just an idea what we've lost because of this COVID thing, it would be interesting. July 28th CVWD board meeting, domestic water sewer, very long agenda, but they actually went pretty quick. By then, they had been up to 9 employees with COVID. All of them have returned back to work. They're healthy, fine, no problems, which is really good. I see Ashley's still on here. I almost wish I could call on her, but I'm not going to put her on the spot. Not going to do that. There's a new round of money for grass removal, toilets, sprinkler heads, stuff like that, that she mentioned at the August 4th meeting. I believe, Victoria, give me a thumbs up. Did you know about that, right? Okay, all right. And I know they have different criteria than we do, and they offer different services, toilets or grass or whatever. So as long as you're up on that. August 11th, CVWD board meeting. They had 4th of July, some people playing with fireworks, lit some palm trees on fire, which lit a fence and a storage container on fire. They've lost, I still haven't heard a complete number yet, but they lost a whole truckload of money because somebody playing with fireworks. And it was caught on video. You can see the car. You can see 2 guys lighting fireworks. They run over, try to put it out when they realized they lit palm trees on fire. Couldn't do it. It was middle of the night. By the time anybody got there, it was spread too far. So pretty devastating fire. So they are now working on their whole fire suppression system for their plant, or the admin building, the yard. They're all together there in Coachella. So I just want to kind of do a reminder or make sure that we're on top of fire suppression, stuff like that, both in the admin building and the yard. DWA board meeting, August 18th. Their July water use reduction figures actually said MSWD doesn't share these numbers. I thought we were making them public and anybody could see them at any time, and we shared them freely with all the other districts so we could kind of combine numbers. We'll worry about it later. It's just a comment that was made. I just want to make sure that we do have these numbers available for the public or other agencies or anybody else that wants to know about them.
Vice President Duncan, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll follow up with Ashley to get clarification on her comment, but we do share our water loss, with CV water counts monthly. I provide numbers between our 2013 conservation rates and 2020. And I don't think that might be what you're asking about, but I can follow up with her for clarification. Thank you.
If you would, please. Thank you. And I could have misunderstood. Maybe I'm hearing a different set of numbers, but yeah, do that. One thing that I definitely learned from going to DWA meetings, and this is from not every month, but like every other month I hear this, is from Mike Riddell, their attorney, who is our representative at the State Water Contractor Board meetings, is if and when we ever get to be our own state water contractor, we need to hire somebody that knows what they're doing, got some experience. I hear it from not just the attorney, but the management, the staff. the numbers, the process, the amount of money they spend, all of that is just astronomical. So, like I said, if we ever get to that point, we need to hire a designated person, at least one, that really knows their stuff, not somebody that we're going to hire that's going to try to learn. Somebody's got to be up to speed. So, and that concludes July and August reports.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, anybody else have some, who did, I think Director Martin did yours on Thursday, right? Director Sewell, you did the Aqua Conference already, right? At one of our meetings?
I went on Thursday. I have nothing more to report.
Oh, you did on Thursday. Okay. So Director Grasha, you have a Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting and the Aqua Summer Conference also. Would you like to report on those?
I did. I attended the Aqua Summer Conference. It was an interesting meeting, had a couple of good comments or sessions that I found interesting. And I'm not able to access my calendar, so there were some others on there, but they didn't make it onto the report. I think I had a total of 14 events that I attended online, and unfortunately, because of what we talked about in a recent item, they weren't able to be put on the calendar, and I'm not able to access it anyway, so it wouldn't help. Thank you.
Okay. So then I have a couple I went to. Did everybody else get theirs? Did I get everybody? Okay. Okay, so I did the JPIA meeting as I always do at Aqua conferences. It was, of course, virtual. They said there was probably about 150 participants, but I thought it was pretty good for JPIA. There's usually a whole lot more though. It was kind of interesting how they did the voting. It was, I believe it was Zoom, and they did when you went to vote, to do nothing if it was a yes, to raise your hand as you do on this program if you want to vote no, and then they had us follow up after the meeting with an email to confirm our votes to make sure that they had the votes properly. So that was how they did that. Financials, the captive report, they didn't have one for this time, but they said they will do it on the next meeting. Not enough data prior to getting this, to having the financial report. Their operating budget is a 3.3% increase this year. And there was no claims in the operating budget, only operating costs. So the claims were not included in that. Then Andy Sales, I think his last name is Andy Sales. He's the executive director. He gave us an update on the liability program, the property program, the workers' compensation program, and the employee benefit programs. Pretty much everything's staying about the same this year. Department updates, the employee benefits, liability, property, workers' comp, and human resources training, talked about all of those. Pretty much everything's staying pretty much the same as far as costs go. What else do we have here? Other businesses. Let's see. One thing, I just kind of, we didn't have a lot of stuff on the agenda, but it did take longer than most meetings, I think, because of the voting process. So I just wanted to kind of give you what Andy, who the executive director, one of the last things he said, he says, looking at all your guys' pictures on the screen, on my screen, 150 of them, so I guess he had a bunch of pages of them, is a new life for some of us. But as far as I'm concerned, not near as good as seeing you all in person. Said we cannot change, I can't read my writing. We cannot change to cards. We cannot change the cards that are dealt to us. We can only play the hand. That was how he ended the meeting, which I thought was a very good comment. And I believe our insurance, our health insurance, if I didn't write it down, I remember correctly, most didn't go up, most kind of stayed the same, but I believe it was Kaiser that's gone up a little bit. Okay, so the next one I did was the groundwater committee meeting. John Wooding is the chair, And we have a new Aqua rep for the Groundwater Committee meeting and the Water Management Committee meeting. Her name is Lauren Bernadette. Yes, I have here. So the first thing on the agenda was Sigma. They call it Tools and Resources of Sigma. And to say if I say her name right, Taryn, is that right? Director Martin and Arden, we've met with her before. Taryn from DWR.
Navazzini.
Thank you, her last name. She talked about critical overdraft basins because their groundwater sustainability plans are due in 2020. This year, okay, okay, there's two parts to the plans. One is the public comment part, outreach and public comment part is open until September. These are the implementations of the GSPs also. But the GSPs done in 2020 are the majorly, the overdraft basins. And also the second phase would be to prepare for implementation to those plans that are in right now for 2020. Groundwater resource management is the next one. A fellow by the name of Steve Springstone, who works for Taryn. She works for Taryn at Department of Water Resources. So they're improving the data that we can all access. They're doing a program for planning and update should be finalized by 2025. Inventory of all California groundwater basins. The public draft should be out in 2020, then public comments, and the final should be out in spring of 2021. Tech support, they're going to be doing tech support for GSAs or member agencies that qualify for the tech support to get critical information for the basins. They're also working on a statewide data set for the GSPs and the GSAs. Groundwater elevation and quality monitoring is part of what they talked about. Data reliability on the California Natural Resources Open Data Platform, which is now up and running. You can look at it at the California Natural Resources website. Oh, Cindy Turk, I guess, from Aqua. I think she's our state legislative person for Aqua. She was working on the economic stimulus funding for Sigma and the implementation program funding. There is now in the economic stimulus, now that was back then, so I'm not sure which, it was probably the first stimulus we were talking about. 25 million was in 26 million was in there for critical overdraft basins, and 62 million was in there to medium to critical basins. And more Sigma was Natalie Stork from the State Water Resources Control Board. She is the head of the Sigma team. State's board role in the GSP is to coordinate with the Department of Water Resources. And like I said before, starting with critical overdraft basins. The state board has no formal role in Sigma to review of the GSPs. The regional boards has a lot of programs related to Sigma. Example, CV salts, which I know our district is interested in. And the state board and DWR has to, how do I put this? I'm trying to read my writing. They use the State Water Resources Control Board as a formal consultation. When they need a consultation, the Department of Water Resources then will ask the State Water Resources Control Board. Gamma, which is a data processing groundwater ambient monitoring program. It looks at the basins. They also talked about water right permitting. tools for GSA can be plugged into their, in their own and informed and they can stay private. Any tools that you use of the GSAs, they can stay private on their website. I don't know how that works, but this is what they were saying. So I do have Natalie Storks, who's head, like I said, head of the State Water Resource Control Board's Sigma team. I do have her phone number, Arden, if you need it.
Okay.
CV salts and recycling water are two of the subjects. And Aqua is also willing to be a partner with the State Water Resources Control Board on the Sigma issues. They had a COVID-19 update. Then we went to the federal, which is David Reynolds, who is Aqua's federal legislative guy. He said it was very strange around DC at that time. And he said that they have been working on HR2, which is a massive infrastructure project, mostly for recharge money. Senator Feinstein's SB 932 had $670 million in it for a stimulus bill for water. I don't think that was left in it, but I'm not sure. They were arguing about it at that time. The water plan still needs more work. Sigma is can't read my writing. Sorry. Then there was a note. There was a motion to update the work plan, which was one of the only things that was actually voted on by this committee. They voted on to keep the update going on the work plan for the groundwater or the groundwater management. What am I on? Groundwater committee. Motion passed unanimously. There was a lot of stuff at this meeting. It was a pretty long meeting. And they have data now that they're putting together on the irrigated lands program. They have a basin-wide management program now working on for PFAS in groundwater, PFAS in groundwater. The, what they call them, virtual contaminants like Teflon and those kind of things, and fire retardants. Orange County Water District. Oh, this is interesting. Orange County Water District, which is basically a groundwater management company or district. They do the pump tax. They're one of the other ones that do the pump tax, but they charge $487 per acre foot pumped out, which is probably more like what it would really charge for an acre foot of water compared to what we're charged. I think that was it. I think I got it. Actually, it was a very interesting meeting. I was glad I attended it. Okay, I think that's done. Those are the ways that that's the way that is proof that you actually went to these meetings, because these virtual meetings are hard to prove that you attended if you didn't sign in as somebody who was going to talk there. Sometimes they're just streamed, and it's really hard for anybody to prove that they were there. So, okay, so the next one is correspondence.
Well, we could quickly do away with that by just eliminating all of those as possibilities for stipend, and pay directors for the work that they actually do. That's a requirement to.
Well, that's brought up. That was that particular item on January 20th.
Well, you just made a very threatening comment. It's almost like you're assaulting people that are trying to do good for this district. And what you're doing is casting a shadow of doubt over a person's integrity. And it makes you the evil woman that you are. Everyone that sees your little face there knows exactly what you're up to. You've gotten away with it for 32 years. Your day is done here.
Come on, Steve, let the adults have a conversation here.
Yeah, really, you know, Mr. Ranting and Raving. Okay, so so the correspondence, thank you for that, Victoria. I think you're mostly part of that. I'm not sure, but I think you are. So now we will go into district council's comments.
So I have a couple things today. One, because of the way the meeting went earlier, and we had a number of people talking over each other. That I wanted to remind the board about the rules of procedure that it previously adopted. And I'm looking at page 12, section 7, which provides no person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. And that applies to all board members. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as the presiding officer. And that the idea behind that rule, which is not an uncommon rule of procedure, is to avoid a situation where you have members of a legislative body debating, having a side debate with each other. The comments should be directed to the chair of the board. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. And what I was going to suggest, Madam President, is perhaps to avoid situations like that in the future, we may be at a point where it might make sense to, when an agenda item comes up, is just go down the list and start at one end of the board and work your way through the board and give each member of the board an opportunity to comment, so that you don't have people speaking over each other.
I will do that. Yes. Some people just speak right out. Okay, and then go on.
Then no board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting. In order to ensure the orderly progress of board meeting, the board president regulates the amount of time that's dedicated to a particular agenda item. So I just wanted to remind the board of that. And if you'd like, Madam President, we could add an item to the beginning of each agenda where I can remind everybody of those rules that control these board meetings that the board adopted, just as a reminder going into the meeting. And I do that for another one of my clients, and it's worked very nicely. So
looks like we might have to do that, and maybe even put some time limits on this, because when somebody starts talking and they keep going and going, and I try to stop them and they don't listen to me, what do you do?
So the next thing I wanted to make the board members aware of, given that we are we're coming into an election season, and there's probably going to be interest among board members in, going on social media and having conversations there. And so I think it's important to be aware that on Friday, the governor signed a new law, AB 992, and it's an amendment to the Brown Act. And it really tries to address the issue of social media and the limitations imposed by the Brown Act on having discussions about district business outside of a properly noticed board meeting. And again, it was just signed by the governor on Friday of last week.
That's really, I'd like to see it. Could you? It's an executive order?
No, it's AB 992, so it's a piece of legislation, and it was signed by the governor on Friday. And so the general rule under the Brown Act is that, and you are all aware of this because you've all been through the AB 1234 training, that a majority of the members of a legislative body shall not, outside a meeting authorized by this chapter, use a series of communications of any kind, directly or through intermediaries, to discuss, deliberate, or take action on any item of business that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. And then it says that section shall not be construed as preventing a member of the legislative body from engaging in separate conversations or communications on an internet-based social media platform to answer questions, provide information to the public, or to solicit information from the public regarding a matter that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body, provided that a majority of the members of the legislative body do not use the internet-based social media platform to discuss among themselves business of a specific nature that is within the subject matter of the jurisdiction of the legislative body. And I think that makes sense. And it's intuitive that, we can't use social media as elected representatives to have a conversation that, is not permissible under the Brown Act. But here's the interesting section. It then goes on to say, a member of the legislative body shall not respond directly to any communication on an internet-based social media platform regarding a matter that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body that is made, posted, or shared by any other member of the legislative body. And that's an interesting and unique provision. So I'm going to read it again.
Please do.
A member of the legislative body shall not respond directly to any communication on an internet-based social media platform regarding a matter that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body that is made, posted, or shared by any other member of the legislative body. So that would mean that if one director posts something, another director should not comment on it, or even like it or dislike the comment.
What about if the comment is an out-and-out lie?
Well, I'm just telling you what the law says. So I mean, normally you would expect these rules to deal with a majority of the board having a conversation outside of a properly noticed meeting. But that language seems to suggest that if another member of the legislative body has posted something about district business, that other members should not respond to it in any way. So it goes on to say that define what discuss among themselves means communication made, posted, or shared on an internet-based social media platform between members of the legislative body, including comments or use of digital icons, like a like button, that express reactions to communications by other members of the legislative body. And you could imagine that, you know, if I were on a board and I posted something and then two of my other board members gave a thumbs up to it, to the public, that would appear that we were making a decision to move forward with the item that I posted. And then internet-based social media platform means an online service that is open and accessible to the public. So it's AB 992. And again, it was signed by the governor on Friday. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that. And I have no other comments today.
Okay, thank you. General Manager's report.
Okay, just three things. First of all, the all hands meeting on October 7th is open if you would like to attend. It's a breakfast event. I was reminded, however, that the purpose of the meeting is to go over some internal forms that we want the entire staff to hear about in one unit and to go over that. So it may not be extremely interesting morning, but we would love to have you there if you so choose to attend. The second
what time, Arden? I'm sorry.
Danny, was it 7:30 or Victoria?
7:45, sir.
7:45. Okay.
Pardon? 7:45?
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that I thought was kind of interesting was an article that came out today among the scientists that there's some consideration of the actual contagiousness of this COVID-19, the aerosol issue, how quickly it can spread. And one bit of information that was in the news today was the fact that we have 30 states across the nation that have seen a greater than 10% increase in their COVID cases. In one case, I think that the university came in and they had just like overnight they had 1,000 COVID cases. So but we're doing okay here. I think the state is doing quite well, and we're being very careful. So I think again, wear your mask, sanitize, and keep your social distancing. But the most wonderful thing, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but everything was a little bit virtual these days, but we finally did get our gold medal award for the Berkeley Springs.
Oh, is that what it looks like now just today? Oh, how beautiful.
It'll be here for you all to take a look at. Yes, a little different this year.
Yeah, the other ones were plates, yeah.
Yeah. It basically says Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting, best municipal water in the world. Mission Springs Water District, Desert Hot Springs, California.
Well, when we get back in the boardroom, we'll have to have a nice spot for it in there.
Yes, Mission Springs Water District, Desert Hot Springs, California has been awarded the gold medal in the municipal division, Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting, Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, February 22nd, 2020. Just to let you
Very
know.
nice, very nice.
We'll frame that and have it up. So my compliments to you, and the fact that, you know, we do provide a very wonderful gem, and that is the quality of our water is so excellent. And it makes me proud to be a part of this district and a part of this community. So, with that said, nice positive note. Okay, and that's it. That's all I
Thank you. Beautiful. I can't wait to see that in person. It really looks pretty. Okay, director's comments. Okay, I'll start with myself this time. On October 8th, just for Randy, for you and Dory, the CVCC and E&E meetings are on October 8th. And Randy, can you make those? Okay, so Randy will be doing those 2 meetings in October for me. I have a conflict. And I really don't have a lot to say, but I do have a question. Does anybody know who High Road Consulting is?
No.
Director Grasha posted that we paid them $300,000.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you. I'm going to address that in my comments.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Director Sewell.
Yeah, after reading the general manager's report, I just wanted to give a thank you to our staff down at Horton Plant, because these flushable wipes that aren't really flushable wipes are taking a toll, and they're coming in on Saturdays and Sundays and cleaning out the influent pumps. And I have to bet that's one of the worst jobs in our whole district. So thank you to the staff down there, and don't flush flushable wipes.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a bummer for the guys. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I didn't realize that, but it does make sense. Okay, Director Grasha. Oh.
Yeah,
Do you have comments, Director Grasha?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple of things.
Okay, I can't hear you. Could you speak up a little bit?
How's that?
That's better.
I don't know what's going on. Maybe, is that better or is that better?
Yeah, you're okay. Just
okay.
Now you're okay.
Yeah, there's was a contract that the board voted to make an amendment to, I guess, you call it a new contract, but it was to engage a law firm that I've never had any experience with in the 2 years I've been here. You're paying them $10,000 a month. I'd like to see the work product of what we're getting for that $10,000 a month, instead of, oh, well, it's just somebody that I want to see what they're doing.
Do you have their name?
I'll get it for you.
It's probably our lobbying firm.
That's what I was thinking.
It's a law firm that owns Cadiz water project out in the desert. And I'm concerned that not sharing that information with the public in a way that the public can, fully understand what we're getting out of the 10,000 would be helpful to the public. I think they deserve that respect. They're paying the bill. I'll let you make your points, and then I'd like to reserve a moment, a time back after you.
No, it's your time right now, so do what you need.
Okay, well then I'll speak to it publicly if I don't agree with your thinking. I heard Oh, I made a request for public information request for credit card statements for all directors going back 3 years. I don't think that's too much to ask for. It's public responsibility to keep an eye on things, and it's certainly a director's responsibility to do that. So I expect those to show up.
Like your card, you got it.
Also, pardon me?
I said, yeah, it's our responsibility. It just like time cards are.
Right. And well, that's my point is I want to be able to demonstrate to the public that things aren't equal here. All right. You discriminate on a regular basis against people that you don't like, probably because of people are in a protected class. You have an issue here, and the grin on your face is proof enough for me to continue down this path. So what you don't want is for that to end up in litigation, because believe me, you're like, I have another few months before I have to pass that date where.
Bring it on. Okay, was that it?
No, I've got more.
Okay, well,
November 3rd, I think it's 41 days.
No, but are you done with your?
Just that we're going to be having a wholly different arrangement in a few months here. So you'll get that information for me, the credit card statements from all directors and all staff that has a credit card issued to them. And you will get me copies of all communications between staff and directors on the subject of the reimbursements and stipend reports and payments. I want to see the checks that were cashed. I want to know how much they asked for what items, and how much they got. Public deserves to know what's going on here. You've tried to gloss over it with your hyperbole earlier, but it's not going to put the issue away. And another thing.
I agree with you. They have a right to look at it. You are absolutely.
I have a right to look at it too.
They do. You're absolutely right.
Today we had 780 new positive COVID cases and 9 new deaths right here. And the thought of you putting this board and the employees of this district in that little room that has 0 circulation, to me, is repugnant. You need to reassess that as something that, instead of making your political tricks that you're trying to pull with that, don't put those people at risk just because you want to get even politically in an environment that you can have more control over. This works perfectly. Everybody's equal, all right? Nobody's at risk. We don't need to be in that little room with 0 circulation, putting everybody that works for us at risk. I beg you, change your path on that. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
One thing I did want to go back in my comments just for a second. Arden, did you have something to say?
No.
Well, social distancing and face masks, as long as we have to do face masks, I'm not ready to go back in the boardroom. But anyway, and social distancing is pretty easy in our boardroom, and we don't have to let the public come in either. So, and there's ways to do it. Not everybody has to come. It'd probably be choice. Okay, so one thing I would like to just throw out here real quick is that January 2019 and in January 2020, this board voted on the affiliations listing of our what we would be allowed to be compensated for, and it was a 5-0 vote both times. You voted for it. Anyway, okay, so next is Director Martin.
Yeah. The only comment I have is there's been some misinformation on social media, and I'm not going to violate the governor's order as I understand it, but there was some misinformation about what board members get paid for and what they don't. And I just wanted to make it clear that I have not received a Mission Springs Water District stipend for attending any Cavitz Museum Foundation board meeting. or the storytelling night that was so prominently mentioned by Director Grasha. I do not receive a Mission Springs Water District stipend for attending Agua Caliente Tribal Water Authority board meetings, nor do I receive a stipend from the Water District for my position on 2 commissions representing Supervisor Jeff Hewitt. I never received a compensation for my 7 years I served on the Public Safety Commission, nor the 2 years I spent on the Desert Hot Springs Film Commission. All of those, the Mission Springs Water District did not pay me 1 dime. And lastly, I have been regularly attending city council meetings since 2006. I know some people think I'm crazy, but I do find them interesting. So to suggest that I'm there only to get the stipend is absurd. So I've been attending 4 years before I ever got on the board. And that includes my comments.
Well, I can say one thing about that and why we put that on our affiliation listing several years back. Because quite a few times back then, I don't know about what's happening now, there was questions about the water district that council did not have the answers for. So to have a board member there to be able to answer those questions was part of the reason. Anyway.
And they also, of course, have been fairly recently attending our board meetings.
Yeah, that's great. That's right. We have
that's great.
Liaisons. They have one for us and we have one for them.
Right.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So let's see, who else do we have here? Vice President Duncan. Okay.
You're on mute.
You're muted. You're muted.
I'm sorry, too many buttons to push. Got several things to cover here. Personal comments first. I have seen online, and this is several people, not all. I want to be very specific, not all, everyone. But a lot of times I've seen on Facebook and Nextdoor, people come on, they rip the district. I went from a $45 water bill to a $300, $400, $500 water bill, and absolutely shred the district. You guys are crooks, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple of weeks later, oh, well, yeah, my pool filter or filler has been running for 3 months nonstop. Or yes, I did have a massive leak out by my trees. So with these new meters, they're very sensitive. Yes, rates went up. But we're finding that a lot of the people that were complaining actually are having massive leaks. Not everyone, like I said, don't crucify me on Facebook. I'm not saying, that's the end all. I'm just saying a lot of people did find out they have leaks. Secondly, I didn't think I'd have to do this. I quit doing this a couple of months ago because the need wasn't there. But time to clear the good name of the water district again. There are 2 sets of lies that have been published online. I want to clear those up. And this new AB 992 couldn't come at a more perfect time. This is absolutely the reason right here. This is a lie, total smear on the water district from another board member, Steve Grasha. Starts with this photo. That is Nancy, Russ, myself, and Ivan. 3 of you have your spouses there. Diane couldn't make it that night. And Arden, Victoria is there. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. Few spouses. All right. I will read what Steve Grasha wrote online, and then I'll go back line by line, and I will correct it and tell you what the truth is. And hopefully it'll shed some light for a lot of people on who they're dealing with. This is Steve Grasha's verbiage. And I'm gonna leave out the name calling. We don't need that.
Could you hold that up to the camera so everybody can see the name? Because I
did.
Cut the name off. I had nothing to do with that. So when you continue on here, just know that
the adults are having a conversation, Steve.
You know what? Hey, Steve, it's not your turn, Steve. It's Randy's.
Steve's comments are fire MSWD directors Russ Martin and Randy Duncan. Moments after reaffirming a 60% rate hike on MSWD customers, Nancy Wright and her gang on the board, including
Did you say 60?
Martin.
60?
Huh?
Did you say a 60% increase?
Yes, 60%.
Wow. Never
After
done that.
we reaffirmed it. Okay?
Wouldn't even consider that one.
Well, but after that fiasco, we sped off to a ratepayer-funded birthday party in honor of MSWD board president Nancy Wright, held in an exclusive resort hidden from public view in Indian Wells.
You didn't even invite me?
Letters that says, "You paid for this," with exclamation points.
What a lie.
These people hate you so much, and they thought they would never get caught. Unfortunately for them, a junior staffer at the Water District posted this picture on the district Facebook page, and we copied it shortly before it was deleted. Stop the fraud, fire Randy and Russ. Okay, now for the truth.
Yeah, the truth. Truth will prevail.
Photo with the real heading on it. This was posted online February 18th of 2019 about an event held the night before, October 17th, 2019. If you'll go to Facebook, MSWD page, you got to scroll clear back to last year, October 17th, you'll see it is dated for that day with this caption on it. This is the real story. Mission Springs Water District team and board members attended the 5th annual, I'm sorry, John, I'm just going to abbreviate this, SBE&P Attorneys at Law Business Awards yesterday evening. Congratulations to each of the honorees and award recipients. We are happy to attend in support of MSWD's legal counsel, partner at MSWD, John Pinkney. It was a great evening, very windy. Now, let me start from the top and I'll run through his list of lies. After reaffirming a 60% rate hike, Nancy, you already caught that.
Yes, never, ever.
One, there's never been a 60% rate hike.
Not even a mention of it.
October 17th, we had a study session with an October 21st board meeting. The agenda for those meetings, no discussion of a rate hike, rate reduction. We haven't had an agendized conversation on rates in months, if not years, okay? Had there been a vote, it would be on the November or December agenda in the minutes. The results of those votes, not there. Okay. Ratepayer funded birthday party in order of Nancy Wright. Well, at the time, I was board president, not Nancy. That was, like I said, an annual awards dinner. Was not ratepayer funded. I'm sure John Pinkney can tell us that was a very painful, expensive event that he paid for. You paid for this. Again, we were invited by our district attorney. No cost to us to attend. No stipend either. And then the good one. These people hate you so much that they thought they would never get caught. Well, we know the only one that has been caught, and that's you, Steve. Unfortunately for them, a junior staffer at the district posted this picture on the district Facebook page, and we copied it shortly before it was deleted. Well, like I said, if you go to the Facebook page right now, you'll see it was still there, dated October 18th, 2019. Lie number, well, the second set of lies, not lie number 2. Director Martin was talking with somebody on one of the neighborhood pages. And Steve Gosh again jumped in. Here's his photo. Here's his name. Here's his whole statement. You voted to give Highland Consulting, there you go, Nancy.
Oh, I never heard of them.
On 2 occasions If you can't remember doing that, you should resign right now or resign because you're lying. Steve, take your own advice. You're lying through your teeth. Highland Consulting is, if you'll remember the lies he posted a couple years ago, I sued him for this in March, I believe it was, of this year, earlier this year. I had a picture of a nondescript building in the Kmart parking lot that we funneled money laundered $300,000 through.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's the same lie that I proved him lying in court earlier this year. Okay. Again, no canceled checks, no minutes to a meeting. The CPAs are finance people, have no record of it. They don't know who Highland Consulting is.
Hey,
Sorry, will you please mute him? Thank you. I did reply, maybe I shouldn't have. If there was a vote, then there would be an agenda item, minutes to the meeting, a couple of canceled checks. Maybe you would like to show us some of these imaginary items. Stop lying to the board, Steve. He then doubled down. Couldn't just take it at that. He said, I will put you all in federal prison before I'm done. Interesting. I forgot to mention the district has publicly acknowledged what you are denying. This raises criminal exposure for you and others in this manner. The board has never admitted even knowing, what's it called, High Road Consulting. They're a consulting group for the marijuana industry. They buy water from us, I guess, the marijuana industry does. I don't believe Highland or High Road does.
I haven't heard of them.
But this is what the district is up against. This is why a lot of people are inflamed. This is why a lot of people are mad, is because of outright lies. Campaigning is one thing. You want to campaign against me on my record without lying? Hey, that's fair game. I have no problem. But when you lie and you make up fake data and you steal a picture from a year ago and say it was deleted by staffers and on and on and on, then you're just unacceptable. And I'm gonna leave it there because I'm about to go off and I'm not gonna do that. So that ends my comments. Steve, let me refresh your memory. AB 992. Look at it, Steve. Don't talk about district business, even if you make it up and you're lying about it. If you do,
I know people are getting awful sick of this social media
If
stuff.
you do, Steve, I'm going to be lawsuit number 4 since you've been on this board. I will sue you again. I said again because I've done it once. I'll do it again. Yeah, don't.
I know, it sounds like we have an internet troll on our hands here. That's the true definition, I looked it up, of an internet troll is doing that kind of stuff to anybody, anywhere, anytime, that with no conscience, that
Right.
The lies about those people are lies, just that lies. There's just no conscience in that. And
Right.
I think social media is starting to pick up on that. You can only lie to people for so long.
Right.
So,
And it becomes
Madam
so obvious.
President,
And
we
so,
should make sure that if anybody in the public has any comments, that they're given an opportunity to comment. I was muted a moment ago. I tried to mention that, but I was on mute as well.
okay, that's a good idea. Dory, do you have anyone there that would like to mention or would like to make a comment?
I do believe Russell Betts is still on the line, and Tony, who spoke earlier during public comment, is still on the line. Would either of you wish to make a comment now?
Or have a question?
I'll chime in quickly. I would really ask that after each agenda item, that you make a point of saying, or even before during the start of the agenda item, does anybody in the public wish to make any comments on this agenda item? That's pretty much normal. And then just listening to what's going on now, you guys need to stick to board business. I don't want to hear your personal squabbles, okay? And whatever one person's saying about the other, I would much prefer that you would just stick to whatever business is at hand and who's going to sue who and whatever else.
Boy, I
That
tell you
doesn't
what,
interest
Russ,
me.
everybody would love to take that. Everyone would like to stick to real business.
Excuse me. Excuse me, Madam Chair, could you please ask somebody not to blurt out and interrupt? I thought I had an opportunity to speak here, and I'm sure that the board member, when it's his turn to speak, can do so.
Okay,
and I don't
Russ,
mean to be
Russ, I didn't catch.
And Madam Chair, how many minutes do I have?
Councilman Betts, hey, you guys, it's my meeting. Councilman Betts, sorry, I did not hear the difference in the voices between you. I thought that was you. Go ahead, keep going. It's hard to tell who's talking. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should say Russell Betts because we've got another Russ up there. Hi, Russ. All right. Anyhow, so all right. If I'm not, it's not my time to speak. Is it my time to speak now? Do I have 3 minutes? I don't know. You need to get a little bit of order.
Well, no, we're doing. You know what? Our attorney suggested that since we had this talk about social media, that we just ask it. No, we're just doing it as a courtesy.
Okay, well, I understood that public comment at a meeting is not a courtesy, that it's something that's provided for during the meeting. And I'll wrap up my comments here because I can't, I just need to know what the rules are. So when it's time for the public to speak, they're able to. And I'm not trying to get into a big back and forth here, but there's a big problem with interruption. And I heard the attorney rattle off, the procedures that you guys have adopted, and I would encourage you to follow those. When anybody has a comment, just keep a pencil in hand and note what you want to say, and then when it's your turn to speak, and otherwise quit interrupting. So, all right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Russ. And these particular comments, director's comments, we will not be having public comment on. This was just a courtesy for today.
Well, one follow-up, if I may comment. The lady, I hope she's still on the line. Tony? Arden? I know we talked about this earlier, but yeah, can we make sure we get somebody out there to take a look at
we've already, I've already got.
Excuse me.
Cut off. Please continue. I'm sorry.
I didn't realize you were unmuted. Okay, since I gave opportunity, Tony, would you like to say something?
I would. I understand that. I'm not sure who it was talking, was saying that social media, that later 2-3 months later, people are like, oh yes, I have a leak, I didn't know. From my personal situation, I'll put everything in correspondence and send it to you guys to show proof, but there's a 3-month span, and 2 months ago I received a bill for approximately $180, and that was for 40,000 gallons allegedly consumed. Then came the 131,000 gallon bill, and then the third bill, which went down after doing nothing, no leaks, no nothing, has gone down to 20,000 gallons without doing anything. But my question or my concern is the first bill for $180 was 40,000 gallons, and that was $180. Then the next bill, or 2 bills later, is for 20,000 gallons, which is half the amount, for $10 less or $10 more, whatever it was. So I know that there's an issue. I know that there's something wrong.
Okay.
It's not accurate. It's not correct.
Okay, thank you for saying that. I think that the staff has your number, and they're definitely going to get a hold of you to try to figure out what's going on. So thanks for participating in our meeting today.
We will.
Okay, so I guess we're going into closed session, right?
No,
No.
there's no closed session today. We did it on Thursday.
Oh, we did. Okay. Okay, so
Madam President, Mr. Grasha has, Director Grasha has his hand up.
oh, I can't see him. Okay, I'll give you the floor, Director Grasha. Just a few minutes though, and don't start ranting or I'll shut you off.
And that's the entire gist of my concluding with that. I'll conclude with that. Thank you.
That was a good comment. Okay. So without any else, you guys watch out for social media tonight. Looks like our troll will be online. I just would like to make sure that I think what we need to tell people is to fact check. They're so important on any social media, on anything online that you read. Never believe anything you read online. Always fact check it, because people can say and do anything they want, and they hurt people and they hurt organizations. And it's just awful what happens on social media. I think social media didn't start out like this. It was good and it was fun, but now, my goodness, people just take out all their frustrations and rant and rave and go crazy and just make things up. It's just the strangest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Anyway, okay, without further ado, meeting adjourned.